And joining me now with the latest on this big developing story is Kat Thomas, a Taiwan-based journalist. Kat, welcome on India Today. There is a phone call, a conversation that's likely to happen between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping. Before that, that phone call happens on Thursday, but before that, how is Taiwan looking at these latest developments?
Well, officially, Taiwan has simply said they have not been informed of any plans for Nancy Pelosi to visit. But this isn't a surprise. Indeed, the trip hasn't been confirmed by anybody. This is all very much, it came from a report in the Financial Times. And whilst it is certainly, it's being planned, it's very usual it wouldn't be confirmed by this stage. So Taiwan hasn't made any official statements on it.
And when you look at these drills that are happening, an air raid drill, as far as the Chinese are concerned, more violations of the air defense identification zone, anti-submarine warfare exercises by China. What message is China sending out, and what reaction do you see with the US President Joe Biden saying the military thinks it's not a good idea right now for her to visit?
Again, I would say it's pretty standard for a briefing to be carried out about this kind of a visit. I don't think there's anything unusual in that in particular. So I don't think we should read too much into that necessarily. And again, China has been, since 2020, regularly breaching Taiwan's ADIZ zone, the Air Defense Identification Zone. So it's quite regularly they've been flying over the median line of the Taiwan Strait. So in terms of the public reaction in Taiwan, I would say people are just very used to Beijing having this very strong reaction. So it doesn't really seem to be having much effect on the general public. And of course, there aren't really official statements yet because nothing has actually been confirmed.
Okay. And should Nancy Pelosi's visit not happen, should she decide to postpone it if it doesn't happen in August for some reason, will that send out the impression that the US has buckled under pressure, and is there an apprehension that China will be more belligerent?
Well, I think we can look back to the fact that this trip was actually first floated earlier this year, but the Speaker of the House got COVID.
Yeah.
So she delayed the trip, and at the time, the PRC had made similar kind of noises, perhaps not as strong as this time, and they tried to chalk it up as a bit of a win. So again, it would not look good, and I think it would be extremely unpopular for the Taiwanese public, for example, if the trip fell through and it was perceived to be because of pressure from Beijing. This would be quite upsetting, I would say, because it would give the idea that the Democrats don't really support Taiwan. However, it must be very clear that actually the Speaker of the House has the right to decide to come to Taiwan by herself. It's not actually anything to do with the presidential office, and it can't be forbidden for this to happen. So.
And is there an apprehension, Kat, that there could be conflict between China and Taiwan, and on ground in Taiwan, do they think that the Americans will help? Joe Biden did seem to indicate that, but would that be, in your appreciation, putting boots on ground, or just sending weapons the way they did to Ukraine?
Well, it's hard to know, of course. As you just mentioned, Joe Biden did make comments in May 22 suggesting that there would be boots on ground, or that there would be definite action there on the part of the US. But the White House did roll that back pretty quickly. In a similar way this time, when he's just said that the military think it might not be such a good idea. He's not really come out with a personal opinion, but it's perhaps they weren't the most considered comments, more off the cuff. And then the White House seems to have some problems where they're trying to make up for these off-the-cuff comments. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, they do appear to be seriously backpedaling on that aspect of supporting Taiwan, and in what way. But what are your expectations, if any, or expectations in Taiwan when this phone call, if it does happen, between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping on Thursday?
Well, of course, there's a lot of talk about the fact that the phone call is one of the reasons that that Joe Biden is perhaps keeping a little bit quieter now, having made that comment earlier, not wanting to rock the situation. It's hard to say. The PRC and Beijing in general, they're very used to coming out with these very, very strong statements. I'm not sure that one would expect there to be a fourth missile crisis, although some people are suggesting, some analysts are going that far. But certainly in Taiwan, I would say people are taking this just as the normal kind of reaction that we've come to expect from Beijing.
Okay, because there are some who argue that China's belligerence may just increase and they may violate more than just the ADIZ next time. But we will track that story very closely. For joining me here in India today. Okay, you want to make a closing comment, Kat Thomas? Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the Global Times ran an editorial suggesting that they would accompany the US plane into Taiwan airspace. But again, that wasn't an official comment from the PRC. That came from the Global Times, and it's kind of become very mixed up in the commentary. So there's lots of things where people are commenting and not very many actual facts going on at the moment.
Interesting you say that. For joining me here on India Today, Kat Thomas, many thanks.